Formula One press days can often be pretty dry with a lot of PR-friendly comments that give away just enough to satiate journalists, but not enough to actually say anything. However, during yesterday's press commitments at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, George Russell and Max Verstappen began a war of words on a scale that F1 hasn't seen in a very long time. The two laid into each other's driving, personality and character as the argument over a penalty in Qatar continued. Today, I'll check out the growing feud between the two and what it could mean for this weekend's on-track action, so don't go anywhere. This weekend's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix is the final race of the 2024 season, and with the Drivers' Championship all tied up, it was expected to be a relatively quiet affair for the drivers. The Constructors' Championship is still up for grabs, but despite it offering the biggest prizes, it rarely raises the same emotions. For Mercedes, this was a weekend where they could celebrate Lewis Hamilton's achievements with the team before he went off to Ferrari next year. For Red Bull, it was a chance to celebrate Verstappen's fourth World Championship before heading away to work out what went wrong in the Constructors' Championship. However, neither of those things happened on Thursday. Russell and Verstappen escalated a war of words that began a week ago to a new level, taking all the attention away from Hamilton and Perez. Between one telling the other they were going to put your head in the effing wall, or calling the other a bully and a liar, or saying a quarter of their team want to quit because of them, there hasn't been a second to breathe. But let's stop for a second and go from the top. The background for this battle began in qualifying at the Qatar Grand Prix. Max Verstappen was stripped of pole position for impeding George Russell at that qualifying session. The judgment reversed the places on the front row, with Russell promoted to pole and Verstappen demoted to second place. Verstappen, who had beaten Russell to pole by 0.055 seconds, was penalised for driving unnecessarily slowly and impeding his rival. The incident happened at turn 12, where Russell drove onto the gravel on his warm-up lap after he came upon Verstappen going slowly through a corner. A one-place penalty is highly unusual, especially with the penalty point that Verstappen received on his licence. Three-place penalties are normally handed out when a driver has impeded a rival on a flying lap, but due to Russell not being on a flying lap, the stewards gave some leniency in their punishment. It was a very strange incident, considering Russell was on a warm-up lap. Fernando Alonso, a driver who knows the rulebook better than anyone else in the sport, was astonished by the decision. He said, "If that's the case, I'll speed up towards my rival on my warm-up lap in Abu Dhabi and ask for him to be punished." Max took aim at Russell after that qualifying session, stating he had lost all respect for the Mercedes driver following their stewards' meeting. He said, "I've been in that meeting room many times in my life and my career with people that I've raced, and I've never seen someone try to screw someone over that hard." In another interview, when asked about his comments on Russell's behaviour, Verstappen said, "He always acts very nicely in front of the camera, but inside the steward's room, he's a completely different person. I have nothing to do with that. You better F off." Well, in Abu Dhabi, George Russell took his chance and then some to respond. On Thursday he said, "I don't know why he felt the need for this personal attack, and I'm not going to take it. This is me just setting the record straight. I'm not going to stand here and let someone slam me personally." Russell said that after they left the steward's room in Qatar after qualifying, Verstappen swore while saying he would purposefully go out of his way to crash into me and put me on my head in the wall. Russell added, "I knew that was a spur-of-the-moment thing, but the next day we were joking around a bit with Perez and Carlos. I saw it in his eyes that he meant it." For a world champion to come out and say he's going to go out of his way to crash into someone and put him on his head, that is not the example we should be setting. After Russell's comments, Verstappen spoke to Dutch publication The Telegraph and accused the Mercedes driver of being a backstabber and a loser, adding, "He lies and pastes all these things together that aren't true." Asked about Russell's claim that he said he would deliberately crash into him, Verstappen said, "That's not true. I didn't say it like that. He's trying to exaggerate it again." Before I dive into the reaction to all of this from around the sport, if you enjoy the content we bring and want to catch some more daily F1 news, then make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to F1 Reverse. Thanks a lot. Russell's comments continued to become more incredible as his interviews went on. He added later, "I don't know why this topic has got him so angry. He cannot deal with adversity. I'm not questioning his ability one bit, but the second he does not have the fastest car, Budapest, he crashes into Lewis, slams his whole team and loses the plot." Russell said, "People have been bullied by Max for years now," and added, "He's been enabled because nobody stood up to him. Lewis stood up to him in 21 and lost that championship unfairly. Can you imagine the roles being reversed and Max losing that championship in the way Lewis lost it? Michael Massey would be fearing for his life. Michael Massey and Nicholas Latifi were both made to fear for their lives after Abu Dhabi 2021 due to serious death threats which required both to hire personal security. Russell went on and expanded on his claims about Verstappen being too aggressive by saying, "When things don't go his way, he lashes out with unnecessary anger and borderline violence. We've seen it in Brazil with Ocon, 21 with Lewis, and Mexico with Lando." Things got even more incredible during a George Russell press conference. Toto Wolff turned up to defend his driver and started to call out his old foe Christian Horner. Wolff felt that the Red Bull team principal calling Russell hysterical had crossed the line. Toto said, "Why does he feel entitled to comment about my driver? If you're thinking about it, yapping little terrier, always something to say. His forte is not intellectual psychoanalysis, but that's quite a word. How dare you comment on the state of mind of my driver?" When asked what he thought about the Mercedes driver's comments, Verstappen responded to the barrage of abuse from Russell by saying, "George is a backstabber. That he brings up all these kinds of things. He's just a loser. He lies and sticks all kinds of things together that are not correct. What he said about 2021, that's also what happened to the stewards. He insinuates a lot of things that do not make sense." When he was told that Russell got so angry he had tears in his eyes at one point, Verstappen responded by saying, "It wasn't that dramatic last week with the stewards. Next time then, I'll bring tissues." The fan reaction across social media has been one of excitement. If the two end up racing each other on Sunday, the battle will have extra barb and neither seems willing to concede. The rest of the drivers on the grid have been absolutely loving what's been going on as well. During a drivers' dinner organised by Lewis Hamilton this week, Max and George sat at opposite ends of the table, which Lando Norris took great pleasure in pointing out. Verstappen commented on the post with a steak emoji implying the two had beef, and Adam Cooper posted saying that the rest of the drivers had tried to force them to sit together, but when Russell arrived last and saw that the only remaining seat was next to Max, he picked up that seat and moved it elsewhere. Lando also spoke in an interview saying how much he was enjoying watching the two fight in the media. "I hope it doesn't get smoothed out. I hope they stay fighting and arguing because it's amusing to watch." Fernando Alonso also gave his opinion on the feud between the two. Alonso, who has previously claimed F1 stewards are more likely to take a British driver's side, weighed in on the penalty given to Max and believes Russell's nationality influenced the decision to penalise Verstappen. "Sometimes when they apply a rule or penalty to someone, then why we don't follow that path?" asked Alonso. "In the next race, it's not applicable anymore, depending sometimes which nationality you are." He also said he might start driving quickly towards his rivals in qualifying to get them all penalised so he can start on pole. Clearly, he wasn't impressed by the penalty that was given to Max and thought the only reason it had been given was because of Russell's actions. Fernando suggested Russell would not have received the same penalty Alonso incurred in Australia, where the stewards penalised him 20 seconds for a potentially dangerous move while being pursued by the Mercedes driver. Russell appeared to make a completely unforced error, which resulted in him crashing heavily, but went on to claim that Fernando had brake-checked him despite being a long way behind the Aston Martin driver. "If I do the same as Russell, I'll not receive the same benefit as George did probably there. Or maybe my incident in Australia, contactless 30 metres away from me. Someone goes off track and I get a penalty." Sometimes you wonder if you switch positions and you are the other guy, if you'll have the same treatment. That's what I say sometimes. Nico Hülkenberg was another driver who couldn't fathom why Verstappen had received a penalty for George going off track in qualifying in Qatar. So yeah, it's been an explosive weekend so far, and while we're making this video, there hasn't even been a car on track yet. Let's hope the racing matches up to what's been said to the media, because that would make for a very exciting weekend. What do you think of this whole thing? Are you siding with George or Max? Or do you think they both just need to calm down a little? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.